rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So this little mess of a machine is a new Home Greyhound machine, and as you can tell, she's already disassembled. So what happened is, while Bob and Liz and Jen were here visiting, I wanted to demonstrate to them in person what my stripper tank could do. So I just grabbed this machine off the shelf and put it complete into the tank, as is. I didn't disassemble her or anything like that because it was honestly a terrible, terrible mess, as you can kind of tell. This was one of the worst conditioned machines that I had on hand at the time. And so once it came out, it's a lot easier to disassemble once all the goo holding the parts in has come loose. So I went ahead and disassembled it while they were here and then just set it back on my shelf. So she needs a lot of help. I want to go ahead and get her cleaned up and everything so that I can paint her, get some final disassembly done. I wanted to point out up here at the top, this is different from the other new home machines that I have done. The tension release, it's connected by a little wire right here. So as this gets pushed down, that wire is somehow connected inside of the machine to this. You see that? Which has something to do with releasing the tension. Unfortunately, I did not film myself when I was taking her nose apart, so hopefully I can get that back together right. So, as you can see, because I just stripped her, said, isn't that great, and then just set her aside for, what is it now? Going on about a month almost. She does have some flash rust. So what I'm going to do with her first is give her a nice bath in evapo-rust. I do need to get this wheel off here too, if I can. I should be able to. I hope. There's a little set screw here. That looks like a pin, and that looks like a pin. Well, I think the first thing is for me to go ahead and take this off. I want to get this off before I set her in my evapor-rust, and so I'll go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so I need to get some more stuff off down here. And this piece, when I took the screw off and took that screw off, this should just pop out. It isn't. But in order to get behind here and be able to pull it out, you know, because a regular gear puller, at least mine, is not fitting on there to pull, I need to get this out of the way. This looks like it's being held on by a pin right here, so I'm going to need to find the appropriate punch here. Oh, just something that looks close, I would say, and go ahead and try to tap that out. Ooh, this is in my way too. This is the little latch that would connect it or latch it to the treadle base. So I actually need to get this off first and get it out of the way before I can get a clear shot to that pin right there. It might actually be better to go at it from this side instead. There we go. Okay. So there it goes. That just pulls out shorter side to the front, longer side towards the back. And this vertical that has the hole in it is what this little ball is going to sit into. And the one up here is going to go into place up here. So let me get that put away so I don't lose those pieces, and then we can come back and work on that one. Well, I've been playing with it. As you can see, this is sliding back and forth. So this is not stuck at all. As soon as this comes off, this little part will come free, and these two little washers will come off. This is giving me fits, and you can't put my, you know, 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 kind of gear puller on there like this, because one side is not being held, and it just goes cockeyed really easily. So, you know, that's life there. Well, I don't know about you, but to me, it seems like that part does not want to come off. And since I think that I can clean it in place, I'm going to leave it there. You win, little part. You win. Let's look up here for a second and see what we've got. This looks like a complete circle up here, which means it can't come off unless the main shaft comes off. But with this screw, I'm thinking I can loosen that screw and pull the bottom part, you know, that the shaft is connected to this ring up here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get that off. Oops, I need a bigger bit. Hang on a sec. Okay, so pulling off this screw right here, okay? Hopefully I should be able to wiggle. Oh, you know what? It is connected to the stitch length block. Let me move that down out of the way here. Come on. Okay, I'm going to spray some penetrating oil in here and work with it for a minute, but I think I should be able to pull this out. That's going to screw all the way. Okay, before I put this in here, I want to show you my new idea. Again, this is my test run to see how it works. But for a really rusty machine, not every machine, but a really rusty one, I like to use EvapoRust. But to be able to dunk them into a tank, this stuff is really expensive. It's like $20 a gallon, okay? So I wanted to find a tank that was as close to an average sewing machine size as possible. And so we have a kitty litter plastic tote, okay? This is the 35-pound size. But if you watch, and I'd say this is a pretty standard sewing machine size, I can put her in here, and she's pretty close. Now, this is not going to come even close to filling up this tank, but I think that I can just keep buying another gallon every time I go into town to get one. And pretty soon I'll have a dip tank that I can just submerge and then pull out. But for right now, I'll have to do some extra stuff. Yeah, this is only coming, well, this is probably about 5 gallons altogether. This is 1 gallon, so not a lot of coverage there, but it's enough that I can put it in there, turn her around, put her back in, you know, and I'll just keep getting more and filling it up. In general, I don't want to put them in and leave them for a long time, only partially submerged, because there could be an etching line. If it's a really nice, oh look, I need a new glove. If it's a really nicely finished, very smooth piece of metal. This is not. This is a very, very rough piece of metal. There's nothing smooth about her. So I think leaving her like that for a little bit isn't going to hurt anything. I'll probably go ahead and order some more EvapoRust. I need to make sure I have enough room in there so that when I put the machine in, it doesn't overflow. So I think right now, based on how high that is, if I get like 3 more gallons, I think I'm going to be pretty close. So I'm going to order those, and I'll show you what it looks like at that point. Hello. So I need to clean parts, and I wanted to show you a lot of times, well, first of all, you see me with my crazy red hat. That is because I have big hair, and if I'm in here and I've got lots of spinny things, the last thing I want is for my hair to get caught in something spinning and rip my scalp off, because that would, you know, put an end to my sewing machine career. So that's why I wear the funny hat. This is some 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐿 that has liquefied. So basically, I'm going to be spending some time here just cleaning parts. I wanted to show you, of course, there's the wheel, and this is the faceplate. It's also kind of rusty, so I'm going to slip these two into that bucket also. I just placed an order for a 5-gallon bucket of EvapoRust, so, you know, we got that going for us. It'll be here hopefully soon. I'm not too sure it'll be here before I'm done with this part of this machine, but hopefully soon, so for the next one. Also, if you can see, there is very, very little of the original plating left. I am just going to knock all of the plating off and paint the entire wheel. I think that that's a better option than trying to make that tiny bit of plating work for me, you know. Let me turn the light on here. So lots of parts to clean. I will show you in fast motion how I do that because you don't need to watch it over and over and over. But in case you're curious, basically I use my mini lathe for little screws. I use my little bench polisher thing with a fiber wheel and a polishing wheel for a lot of stuff. But for something as heavy duty as that, I actually use my little drill press over there, and I put a strong wire wheel in that, and I can rub this up against there, and it's going to polish it up pretty good. So I just wanted to show you because I need both of my hands for doing stuff, but this is a brass wheel, but it's a pretty stiff brass wheel, so I can put that on. And this could take a while. I may need to go to a stiffer stainless wheel, but there. I think it's going to be good once I can use both hands. It's going to be able to knock off all of that loose stuff so that then when I put this in the evaporest, it's going to clean everything else off. Okay, so at this point, you can kind of see where the chrome was, whatever, but it's completely smooth, so that's not going to be a problem. I am still going to paint over it, but you know, I'm not going to worry about it right now. So anyhow, let me go ahead, pop these into that evaporest bucket and get some of my other parts up here. Okay, so for my smaller parts, I have my ultrasonic cleaner over there and I use about a 50-50 mix of purple power and water, and you know, everyone has their own preferences. That's just what I use because honestly we have a boatload of purple power. So you saw this before. This is it after being in that ultrasonic for a couple minutes. It's not perfect though, but it gets nasties off. So then I can come over here and clean it on this little device. This is a harder fiber wheel. I'll turn this, it's not in my way. And this is the polishing side. So here is the before. Okay. So that works pretty good. When I first pull it out of the tank, it's wet, but honestly, the friction of all of this stuff dries it out completely while I'm cleaning it up and polishing it. So that's for my larger parts. And then, let me grab a little cup that has some screws in it. And I'm going to show you how I deal with screws. Oh, this is actually very clean already. So first thing, I have a shop towel just to, dry things off. This one's pretty clean, but look, it's a little bit chowdered up, as Bob says, at the very tip. So this little mini lathe, when I ordered it, it's for tiny woodworking, and I'm not doing that. So of course, if you want one of these, it's going to come with all this other stuff. I just took all of that off, flipped it away, so now I just have this little chuck here, okay? So I can get a little sanding sponge, clean up the sides. But since the tip was a little bit chunky, and that's the metal chunky, I have a very fine little file. I can just rub that at the tip. See what it looks like. Almost. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, so now that it's pretty straight, I can go ahead and just clean it up. And these are just little sanding sponges. I think I got mine on Walmart.com, Amazon has them, whatever. So now that tip is nice and shiny and ready to go. I need to get an X-Acto knife and clean out inside because I can see stuff in there. But that's pretty much how I'm going to clean up all of these parts. Lots to do. So I will be back shortly. I forgot, for the areas that, these guys can't get to, Dremel with a little wire wheel at the end works great for getting in tiny spots. Like this little clippy part, even though I'm cleaning it up and everything and it's doing really good, it was very, very rusty. So once I get, the majority of the loose stuff up, I am going to actually dunk it into the Evapo-Rust also off camera. And I'll be doing that to other parts, just kind of picking and choosing as I go of what could use a little extra help to make sure that it's not going to get rusty again, because even like the little springs and everything. So anyhow, that's it for now. Okay, welcome to the next day. So as you saw last night, I had her only in because in the tank, and I only had about a gallon in. So I want to show you what that did, because I did order enough to fill up the tank, so I will be putting her back in when I get my full order. But I wanted to show you right here. Do you see this tiny spring sticking out right there? Okay. This little bracket I had forgotten to take off, which is why I'm showing you now. Let me stick it in here. It was screwed on like that, okay? And that little spring is up against this part of the bracket. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that pulled out. There's a little hole that the spring sticks into, okay? So that's going to get cleaned up. But I want to show you, if you can see right here, the line where the machine was submerged versus where it wasn't, and the difference that it makes. And over here, if you can see, it was submerged up to this point, and everything from this point over is non-rusted and clean. And when I pull this out of the Evapo-Rust tank, I rinse it off with water really quick, bring it over here, and then heat dry it with my heat gun, to make sure that there's no more moisture on it to do any more dastardly deeds. But these are the other parts that I had put in, and all of the rust is off them. This was completely rusty. I don't think I showed you, but it was. This is the back plate, all clean, and the wheel. So I think that it's worth it, especially on these machines. If it's not a really rusty machine to start with, I don't think that it's necessary. But on one like this, that was just a basket case of a machine, I like having the extra security of removing the rust before I even get started with my primer and everything like that. So I'm going to go ahead, get these last pieces taken off, cleaned up, and then I'm just going to let her wait until I get my rest of my evapo-rust delivered. The tracking information says it should be in a couple days, so that's pretty good. So I will check back with you then. While I am killing some time here, I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and soak more parts in the evapo-rust. And I just want to show you, this is a technique I saw. There's another YouTube guy, fabulous, called Hand Tool Rescue, and he restores all kinds of stuff. But he uses the magnetic trays that, you know, I love too. But what he does is puts all of his little parts by component on the metal trays and then puts those whole trays into the tank of evapo-rust so that way they're not going to get lost. They stay kind of organized by component, and then you can pull them out. So just so you can see, this is the before of the stitch length plate and the little screw, you know, that comes out. When these come out, they're not going to be shiny, but the rust should be gone so that then when I polish them, everything is beautiful. So I just wanted to show you that. And one other thing that I didn't show you before is the bobbin winder was so badly rusted that it was just covered. It was completely seized up and everything. So when I was throwing other parts in there last night, I just threw this in there complete because I didn't want to fight it. And I don't know if you can see how rust-free it is. It's not, I still have to take it apart and polish up all the parts, and I'll show you that in a minute. But because all of the rust is gone, it's not seized up anymore. So, you know, that's what I'm going for. So let me go ahead and get these trays put into my little bucket, and I'll be back, and we're going to work on this piece. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take apart this bobbin winder. Hang on this. Well, this bolt on the back, you can see, let me see if I can add some more light over here. It's very dark and rainy outside right now. If you can see, it looks like the kind that should take a screwdriver like this. Excuse me, but my screwdriver is too narrow, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to try to just open it with pliers, perhaps. That's not going to work. Well, let's start with something easy. Let's start with the little follower here. And I need a different bit. I'm frustrated right now because I lost one of my favorite pliers. Looks like this, but it's needle nose. I'm the only one in my shop. No one else could have taken it. I can't find it. And I know I used it. I think I might have even used it last night, but I can't find it. So there's that. Okay, so I have a screw here. And pulling off the little follower arm. Oh, okay. So this arm, the spring, has a little loop that goes all the way through the hole on the arm and then wraps back down, so it's super secure. Since I can't get this untwisted, I'm just going to try to untwist it from this side. Maybe that will work. It is turning. Hang on. Not very easily, though. I do need to be able to grab it down here because when I turn the screw, it's just turning this round nut. So let me try it again. All right, there you go. So grabbing it with the pliers on the bottom, that works. So here is that round nut there. This is the piece that I'm going to be painting. And it is freed up, but it needs a little more polishing before I actually put it to paint. Pulling out this screw here. There is a washer on the back that goes between the cog and the casting here. And I have another little screw here. I think I need a smaller bit again. Try to take that off, and that's working well. I 100% believe that soaking these ahead of time in the evaporust, and my strip reversed and then the evaporust did a lot of good for these. So those parts I need to clean. This I need to clean and polish these shiny parts so that then I can mask them off when I'm going to paint. So let me go ahead and get this part polished up. I'll show you what that looks like before I put it away to paint. I decided this is kind of rough, so I'm going to try to pull this off. It looks like it's just screwed on here, and there it goes. So I'm screwing off this little handle part, and there should be a spring inside of here, and there it is. So I usually don't take these apart, but this one's a little extreme, so those parts need to get clean. While I'm at it, I might go ahead and try to take this one off too. I'm actually not too sure how it's going to screw off. Alright, so this is not coming off, but that's pretty much as clean as this is going to be, so when I paint it I'll just mask these two little ends off. So that's ready to go. Now I need to clean up these parts. Hello, welcome to the next day. So I've pulled my parts out of the evaporust, rinsed them off, heat dried them, and now I'm going to polish them. So these were some of the worst. You can see this was completely rusted. Now most of the plating is gone. Hang on, flick another light on here. Okay, so most of the plating is gone from the front side where the numbers are. The back is a little shinier, but oh well. And then here's the screw. It was completely rusted. Now it's just dull. So I'm going to go ahead and polish these up so you can see what a difference it makes. Okay, it's not cleaner, but I want to polish it a little bit more. I'm going to try to put some of my buffing compound on here and see how that works. Looks like it's working pretty good. Okay, so it's not going to be brand new, but I hope you can see it's much brighter, and that's usable, okay? So let me go ahead and get this polished up over here, and I'll show you how this comes clean. Okay, and that is usable too. I hope you can see the numbers are visible now, And even though it's not like shiny chrome plated, it is shiny enough that it's going to look nice on the machine. So there you go. I'm going to finish up polishing everything that I pulled out of my evaporest dip this morning. The notifications say I should be getting my 5-gallon tub of it probably tomorrow. It's New Year's Day today, so you know, with holidays things might be sketchy. But when I do get it, that's when I'll be back and show you how the whole machine came out. Okay, so I've got that done, and what I have just decided, because these are bare metal, I want to get them protected, so even though I'm waiting a couple days more to finish up the prep work and everything on the machine itself, I'm going to go ahead, get this masked off, and put a good primer coat on all of this, just so, you know, it has that protection going for it, and that way I don't need to worry about it. So when I primer the other machine, this will already be done. Okay, welcome to the next day. So I got my big container of evaporest in, and when I went to put my entire machine in my kitty litter bucket, it was sticking out a little bit too high. So I had one of these in the house, which is a 7.5-gallon container, and it pretty much fit in there. Just the very tip of the bed was sticking out, so I put a paper towel over it so that, you know, the moisture would still go over it and hopefully still do its job on the very tip without any issues. So I'm just going to let that sit overnight. And I wanted to show you, I do have the primer coat on those little pieces that I showed you the other day. I just did one coat of self-etching primer. I didn't want to do anything too thick, just to protect it, and that's what I had handy. So that's what I put on. So by the time the other machine is ready for its painting, these will be ready to go along with it. Okay, welcome to the next day. So I've pulled her out of the tank, rinsed her off, been drying her, and I went ahead, see, here I am, and pulled off her little tension release part. The wire, where are you? There you are. The wire is still sticking out, and I'm just going to leave that there. I'll probably just paint over it. I don't want it to go in, but I'm very thankful that it looks like the evaporest got all the rust off of that wire, and it still feels really strong. So that's a good thing. I'm just going to dry off a little bit more with my heat gun and then go over to my other table and get her masked up for painting. Okay, so over here at my other table, there's a couple more things that I took out of her that came loose. There was a little button right here that I pushed down, a little button right here I pushed out, cleaned her up, and now I'm just going to get started masking her off. Painter's tape, a variety of silicone plugs, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started, pretty much masking off anything I don't want painted and getting her ready. Okay, I'm in here. I'm just about ready to paint. I just wanted to show you. I do need to turn my heater off before I do because aerosol paint next to flame is not good. I've got her masked off, and she has a bit of texture to her, but not a whole lot, you know, not a whole lot of really deep gouges or anything that I've seen on a lot of other machines. So I think they did a great job at the plant finishing her off. And at this point, I'm debating on filler primer versus self-etching primer. I'll let you know. I haven't decided yet. So these, of course, already have their first coat. Oops, sorry about that. LED light interference. And, well, let me just get her painted. After a coat, a good coat of probably filler primer, honestly, I need to rub her down to smooth it all out. I'll show you that after and tell you how much time it is. She's going to be almond colored. It's like a darker off-white. It is almond. So let's get started. Okay, so the sun is coming up, which is good. It's a blizzard outside. So this coat has been drying for about 15 minutes, and I wiped it down. I recoated these guys. I wiped it down with a microfiber cloth, and then I'm going to wipe it down again with a little tack cloth. It's a little sticky gauze kind of thing, just to get any lint off before I start my coats of the almond. So I'll probably do at least 2 coats, and yeah, I feel like I have enough. At least 2 coats, and I'm going to let it dry for probably about 10 minutes in between each coat. So let me get that done, and I'll be back. All right, so she is almond colored, and I need to tell you something that happened. Did not have the camera running, actually, thankfully. As you saw when I first had her, I had her tipped up because I usually coat the bottom in primer before I tip them down and do the top. And usually, on like a standard Singer or something, you can just flip it down. But I completely forgot that these guys are very off-centered. So when I tipped her down, she almost fell off, and I had to grab her really quick, and I got a big handprint on there. And I was able to cover it. I think we are all good here and everything. Some good coat of the gloss enameled almond color. So I'm going to leave this up here, let it dry for a few days. I still need to get her decals printed. I have them on my thumb drive, but I need to get into town, get them printed. But we're in the middle of snow. And I'm not too sure if I'm going to get out soon, so as soon as I do and I get the decals done, I will be back and we'll get her decorated. Okay, welcome back. So it's been snowing the last couple days, but the forecast says today is when the huge blizzard hits, around 1 o'clock. So I need to make sure I am off my hill before that. So I wanted to go ahead and get the decals put onto this machine, and these are them. And when I got them printed, this top one kept screwing up. I think their printer was having issues, so I've got 2. I can make it work. But I recreated my own new Home Greyhound image there. So let me just go ahead and get started cutting it out and placing them. They are water slide decals. I have a little container of water with a drop of dish soap in there, which is actually very foamy right now. So I'm going to cut them all out, soak them, slide them, place them, and you can watch. Okay, so this is what, see? This is what she looks like. And on her faceplate, this is the side that faces you as you sew. It's got a border and then a bouquet as it wraps around. And this is what we've got. I think that the floral decals look very old, and that is what I wanted. Over here on the back, that is the back plate. So I'm going to put her into my paint booth so that she can stay warm and dry. And whenever the storm is over, when I get back up here, I'll give her a good clear coat. Okay, so welcome to a couple days later. I just clear coated this machine. It was an adventure. Nothing wrong with the machine. I didn't have my gun set right, so got her on, got her clear coat on. You can see a little bit of texture there. That's just the casting. It's just, you know, a little bit of texture in the casting, but the gloss is going to protect it. So up here, we have the back plate, very shiny. And, oh, sorry about that LED light interference here. The front plate, if I can get it to focus. Perhaps, perhaps not. Wants to focus on the background and the wheel. So, I think that's going to be about it for this video. I need to give her time to dry and cure and everything. So next time we'll get started putting her back together. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.